Hello, I'm continuing my reviews on the Hellraiser movies with Hellraiser Bloodline. Now, Bloodline is the fourth film in the Hellraiser franchise, and this was released in 1996, and this was the last Hellraiser movie to be released theatrically. After this movie, all the other Hellraiser movies would go straight to DVD. Now, this is also the last Hellraiser movie to have any sort of involvement from Clive Barker, because Clive Barker is one of the executive producers for this movie, but after this movie, Clive Barker would have pretty much nothing to do with the franchise. Now, the film is actually directed by Kevin Yagher, who is the same guy who designed the puppet for Chucky in the Child's Play movies, and he also designed the puppet for the Crypt Keeper in Tales from the Crypt. But he directed the movie along with, I believe the director's name is Joe Chappelle or something, who is the same guy who directed Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. Now, both of them are uncredited. It says on the back that it's directed by Alan Smithee, but Alan Smithee is actually Kevin Yagher, and this guy, Joe Chappelle, or Chappelle, he's uncredited as well, because apparently Kevin Yagher, he really hated the movie, so he wanted his name taken off of it, Hellraiser Bloodline is considered by a lot of people to be one of the worst Hellraiser movies, and I might get some shit for this, but I actually don't think this one is all that bad. I really don't. I already did a review on Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, and I hated that movie, but, this one I actually like better than Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, and I know I might get some crap for that, because I know a lot of people do like Hellraiser 3, but they really hate this movie, but, I'm sorry, I really don't mind this movie that much. I mean, yes, I get why people don't like it. I mean, for one, the movie takes place in outer space, and a lot of horror franchises do that, where they have, one installment that for some stupid reason takes place in outer space. I mean, you had the Critters movies, where Critters 4 took place in outer space. You had Leprechaun 4, which took place in outer space, and years after this, you would have Jason X, the 10th Friday the 13th movie, take place in outer space, and most times it doesn't work, and also, this is a serious question, but does anybody even like that? A lot of horror franchises do that, where they have one installment take place in outer space, but does anybody even like that? I mean, who the hell is asking for a Leprechaun? Leprechaun I could kind of understand, because that's already a ridiculous series, but who the hell was asking for a Jason in outer space? I mean, and who the hell was asking for a Hellraiser in outer space? But this one, it takes place in outer space, or at least most of it takes place in outer space, but but I could get why people don't like this movie. Also, the movie does have some really shitty CGI effects, but the reason I don't really hate this movie very much is because I at least like some of the characters in it, and to be honest, a lot of the performances in the movie, I actually didn't think were bad performances, to be honest. So I don't think it's that bad of a movie. I mean, of course, this is just my opinion. I mean, it's perfectly fine if you don't like the movie, because I can completely understand why you don't like the movie, but to be honest, I don't think this one is that bad. But basically, Hellraiser Bloodline begins years and years in the future, and it begins on this spaceship where, basically the guy who built the spaceship hijacked and took it over, and he made all the crew of the spaceship leave, and you see him in the beginning, he's controlling this robot, and the robot is in this room, and he has the robot open up the puzzle box, and that summons the Cenobites, and and what happens is, then this crew of mercenaries come up there to arrest this guy, and then this woman is interviewing him, asking him why he did this, and then he starts telling her about the box, and it turns out that his ancestor is one of the is the person who built the box, and basically then he tells a story, and this story that he tells acts as kind of like a prequel to Hellraiser, where you find out how the box was made, and then it flashes back to like the 18th century in France, and what happens is it turns out that there was this toy maker named Philippe, I think that was his name, Philippe, and he was commissioned by this guy to make the puzzle box, and it turns out this guy was somebody who was obsessed with black magic, and I guess he was kind of like a Satan worshiper in a way, but what happens is Philippe, he makes the box for this guy and gives it to him, but then he witnesses this guy and another guy actually kill this girl, and they summon a demon to take possession of the girl's body, and this demon is called Angelique, and what happens is this guy Philippe, he finds out that now his whole bloodline is cursed because he made this puzzle box, and so basically then jumps ahead to the 1990s, and that's where the story becomes more or less a direct sequel to Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, and what happens is Angelique, she finds out that the puzzle box is in America, in New York City, so she goes there and manages to get her hands on the puzzle box, and what happens is, like, she seduces this guy, and she gets him to open the puzzle box, and basically she summons Pinhead, and, and Pinhead kills this guy who she was with, and basically now her and Pinhead are going after the great-great-great-grandson of the man who made the puzzle box and his family, and what happens is they're now trying to get him to create a machine which will open the gates of hell forever, and they're threatening to kill his wife and son if he doesn't do this. And what's interesting about this part of the story is Kim Myers, who was in A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, she plays the guy's wife in the movie. I thought that was pretty interesting, and she actually does a pretty good job in the movie, but I don't want to give too much else away about that part of the story. So then it jumps ahead back to the future, where you had this guy on the spaceship, and he was telling these stories to this woman who was interviewing him, and what happens is you find out that the reason he summoned the Cenobites on this spaceship was because he was planning on blowing the spaceship up, and he designed it in such a way where it could potentially destroy the Cenobites once and for all, and what happens is these mercenaries, they lock him up, and basically the plot line from then on is the Cenobites are now on this spaceship, and they're stalking and killing each of these mercenaries off one by one. That's the basic plot line from then on, but I thought this was an interesting movie. I mean, I get why people don't like it. I mean, I get that, but I thought it was interesting how they did it, though. Like, I liked how it was essentially like 3 stories in one. You had the one story which was set in the 18th century, which acted as kind of like a prequel to Hellraiser, and then you had the other story which was set in the 1990s, which acted as a direct sequel to Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, and then you had the story which is set years and years in the future, which took place on the spaceship. I thought that was interesting, and I mean, I get why people don't like it, but I thought it was interesting how they did it. I mean, so I really don't hate this one as much as a lot of people do. I mean, I'm sure I'll get some crap for that, but I really don't mind this one. Now, one thing that even I thought was kind of cheesy, where I could definitely see why people didn't like this, is, I shit you not, there's actually a Cenobite dog in this movie. Okay, that's where I can get why people really didn't like it, because even I who liked the movie thought that was really stupid, but besides that, I mean, I don't think the movie's that bad, so yeah, that's my review on Hellraiser Bloodline, and bye.